At exactly 2:17 a.m., something happened that almost no one noticed. No alarm sounded, no sirens echoed through the streets, no emergency alerts lit up phone screens. If you were awake at that moment, you probably felt nothing at all. That's the unsettling part. An entire city went to sleep that night. Millions of people closed their eyes, believing they would wake up to the same streets, the same routines, the same ordinary problems. Parents whispered goodnight to their children. Shop owners locked their doors for the last time without knowing it. Streetlights hummed quietly. Late buses competed their routes. The city slowed its breathing. Everything felt normal, too normal. And then the city stopped. When morning came, the skyline still stood against the rising sun. Glass towers reflected golden light. Roads stretched out exactly where they always had. Nothing looked destroyed. Nothing looked wrong, except for one detail. There were no people. Cars were frozen in the middle of the road, some with doors still open, others with engines running. Headlights burned through the early fog with no one behind the wheel. Traffic lights continued cycling, red, yellow, green, following rules written for a population that no longer existed. Inside homes, televisions played morning news to empty couches. Weather forecasts, traffic updates, smiling anchors. Phones rang on kitchen counters, buzzed, stopped. Coffee machines finished brewing, steam curled upward into silence. Showers kept running, fogging mirrors that would never reflect another face. This wasn't destruction, it was interruption, as if reality itself had skipped a line of code. Within hours, authorities sealed the city. Military vehicles blocked every entrance. Concrete barriers rose where traffic once flowed. Drones filled the sky, moving in slow, methodical patterns, over rooftops, down alleys, through streets meant for crowds. They scanned for heat, for motion, for any sign of life. They found nothing. And that's when the questions began to multiply. Hospitals told the most disturbing story. Hospital beds were still warm, IV lines hung loose in the air, heart monitors continued to beep for patients who no longer existed. Wheelchairs stood abandoned in hallways, medical charts lay open mid-thought. Doctors vanished, nurses vanished, newborns vanished. At the airport, time itself seemed confused. Suitcases waited patiently at security checkpoints. Shoes sat neatly in plastic trays. Boarding passes rested on counters. Planes were fully fueled, jet bridges connected, cabin lights still on. Passenger lists showed thousands of names, but every seat was empty. Investigators searched for signs of panic. There were none. No luggage packed in a rush, no homes stripped bare, no evidence of evacuation, which led to the first terrifying question. If everyone left, why did it look like no one had time to prepare? Security footage was reviewed next. At first, it offered comfort. People walking, talking, laughing, normal life. Then the footage slowed, frame by frame. Mid-step, some people flickered, like corrupted files, like damaged recordings. One frame they existed, the next they didn't. No flash of light, no sound, no collapse, just absence. The footage was replayed hundreds of times, and that's when investigators noticed something worse. It didn't happen all at once. People vanished at slightly different moments, within seconds of each other, as if something moved through the city, room by room, street by street. Scientists were brought in, then more scientists. They spoke of atmospheric disturbances, electromagnetic anomalies, rare cosmic events.
Officials insisted the situation was contained, but one detail refused to cooperate. There were no exits, no traffic leaving the city, no footprints beyond its borders, no mass movement of any kind. It was as if everyone vanished exactly where they stood. Satellite imagery arrived shortly after. At precisely 2:17 a.m., the city glitched. For less than a second, buildings bent inward, edges distorted, shadows twisted against physics. Then everything snapped back. Everything except the people. Their names disappeared from databases. Hospital systems returned empty results. School enrollment records no longer existed. Birth certificates, employment files, voting records, gone. It wasn't just the people who vanished. Their history did too. Some researchers proposed a theory they hesitated to say out loud, that the city slipped into a parallel dimension, one layered directly over our own. Others believed something worse, that the city still exists, but in a moment we can't reach, trapped between seconds. Days passed, then something happened that authorities tried to bury. Late at night, inside the sealed perimeter, radios turned on themselves. Static poured from their speakers. Then a voice emerged, weak, distorted, struggling. It repeated the same sentence, "We didn't leave." The signal traced back to the center of the city. Investigators entered cautiously. They walked through empty streets, past silent buildings, into a plaza that should have been crowded. They found no one, but they all reported the same thing, the feeling of being watched. No movement, no sound, just presence. The city remains sealed today. No civilians allowed, no official explanation offered. Authorities call it a one-time anomaly, but here's the detail they avoid discussing. Every night at exactly 2:17 a.m., power grids in other cities flicker, just for a moment. Lights blink, screens glitch, and people pause. They stop scrolling, they look up, they listen. Because if a city can disappear overnight, then the real question isn't if it can happen again, it's where, and whether anyone will notice before it's too late.